John Florence. As a battle for the Jeep yellow jersey continues, Medina coming into this event number 3 in the world, John number 2 in the world. With Wilco knocked out, we already saw John overtake the Jeep leaderboard heading into this matchup. Joe Chappelle alongside 89 world champ Martin Potter. We've got this new school rivalry just getting underway, and looks like Florence wants to get started. Slams on the brakes, stalls into the pit, comes out with the spin. He'll take off with the lead.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's got to do. Up against, I'll tell you what, up against Gabriel Medina, you have got to get the ball rolling really quickly, try and apply the pressure. And that's exactly what John knows. He's been watching Gabriel's performances throughout this event. Knows exactly what he's up against.
What a great matchup on paper. How's this one going to play out in the semifinal?
Well, nice little pump right there. Very difficult to do. Comes out nice and clean and decides to kick straight on out. But look at this, perfect waves here today at Choku. And John Florence is just having an absolute heyday, as is Gabriel Medina. Medina as well, up and riding really quickly. Driving through the barrel. Is he going to come out of this one? Of course he does.
So already starting off with a shootout. There's that angle in for Medina.
Yeah, just beautiful positioning from Gabriel Medina. It comes out nice and deep.
Amazing kick out right there. And for those of you out there watching on CBS Sports Network, we'll be sending you to regularly scheduled programming. Coverage of the Billabong PRO Tahiti continues on WorldSurfLeague.com. Time to Shine is coming up next, and thanks for joining us. Big semifinal clash underway. Medina, John Florence. As we know, we make our predictions early, Potts. We get set up on the Dawn Patrol show. And sometimes, due to the forecast, due to guys being out of rhythm, things don't come true. This day and age, now this did come true. Number 2, 3 in the world going head-to-head. And Medina's fired up to try to take out John.
Yeah, Medina is absolutely fired up. Is he going to pull this off? Fighting his way through that, John, as well. 2 waves already kick things off. An 8.23 for Gabriel Medina. John Florence a 7.50. Wave number 2 already for John. Look at this drop here, straight into the barrel. And that perfect tube stance that every man on the planet would love to have. People would pay big bucks to be able to surf like John Florence.
He's still going under the lip. He slams on the brakes. Nice positioning for Florence. He gets blown out again with his signature kick out, head down. Arms to his side. He looks up at the tower, asking what his score is going to be this time.
Well, Kelly called it was going to be a shootout today, and that's exactly what we're seeing right now. John 7.5, 6.33. Wave number 3 slides into the barrel. Deep. Is he coming out? He comes out with the spit. Perfect timing there for John Florence. Let's have a look at this. Absolutely perfect right now. There's not much you can really say about that except wow. John Florence dodged a bullet in quarterfinal number 4 with Julian Wilson. Julian Wilson dropped the 10 right at the end. John came back with a 9.2 and has continued that roll. Gabriel Medina had it all his own way in quarterfinal action, but not this time, Joe.
Now making a move deep on the reef. Medina sets his pace. Big pump to drive through a heavy section, and he gets clipped on the way out.
So 2 crazy barrels that Medina almost came out of. Could have been keepers, could have been excellent scores. But instead it's going to be a 3 and somewhere in that 2-point range. Wow. Look at the scores for John already.
Florence started with a 7.5. Second wave is a throwaway, a 6.33. Then third ride for the Hawaiian, 9.27 to take the lead. Let's have a look at Medina here.
Yeah, look how he sort of took off, faded, and now he's driving through the section. Up and over the foam ball, comes out with the spit, but unfortunately not able to hang on. Excuse me. Let's have a look and see what happened right here. Gabriel Medina driving high, gets nice and low, pulls up nice and tight, up and over the foam ball. The wave unloads, and Medina just gets clipped by that lip and goes down. 2.70. That could have been maybe even a 10-point ride, Joe.
Such a close moment for Medina, getting clipped and sent over the falls. As we remember the dramatic year in 2014, Medina didn't fall a single time until the final when Kelly put pressure on him. Speaking of Kelly, he's ready for a huge final, either be against John or Medina. Kelly Slaters with Kaipo.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Kelly, yeah, you got one back on ace, but, you know, we know it's not about the other guys, it's about what you're doing, right? So what have you been doing in this event to make your first final of the year?
Well, I'm finally figuring out how to surf heats, Kaipo. Well, no, I just, like I said before, I've been just kind of in the moment, just been relaxed. Anytime my mind wanders, I pull it back and, you know, just get back on the task at hand. And but there are some long, you know, there's some long moments, kind of lully out here, and you can sit there for 5, 10, 15 minutes sometimes going, don't let the mind wander about, you know, what the scenario is, because, I mean, you know, Ace had an 8, a low 8, and then like a 3, and I had a 9 and a nothing or something. And so he's in the lead. I got priority. If I take a bad wave, like I took a 6, 6, 7, which wasn't a bad wave, but it wasn't a great wave. And, you know, that opens the door right up for him. An 8.1 is all he needed, and that's not a big score out there. He had 4 chances at it, and, you know, if he hadn't fallen on 1 or 2 of those, then, you know, he may have gotten it. But it's, you know, even those high scores, you can't sit on them and just rest and think, oh, I got this, you know. You gotta keep working.
Okay, looking forward to the final. Can you give me your assessment of your 2 potential, well, one of these guys, but can you give me an assessment of both of them, John Florence and Gabe Medina?
Well, there goes John right now. They're both just gnarly. That's my assessment.
Both gnarly.
Both gnarly. I mean, Gabriel's, you know, arguably the best competitor we have on tour. You know, as good as pretty much anyone as a competitor. Also has as much natural talent as basically anyone in the world. You know, I think John is just a freak of talent. You know, he's probably the most talented guy on earth on a surfboard at this point. So, you know, I mean, choose your poison.
Thank you for your time, Kelly. Look forward to the final. Let's get caught up in the booth.
Like that, Kaipo. Kelly Slater breaking it down. John Florence, Gabriel Medina. Both a force to be reckoned with in conditions like this. More recently, it's been Medina getting the wins, back-to-back finals. Will we see a rematch, Medina and Kelly out here at Chopo? Or will Florence make his first final of his career in Tahiti? Back to replays. Florence is staying busy.
Oh, that he is. I mean, how was that sort of bottom turn under the lip rail grab into the barrel? You know, you heard Kelly talk about the fact that this kid is probably one of the most naturally talented surfers on earth, and this is why. Have a look at that. Drives up through the barrel. Now he grabs the rail, comes out nice and clean, and then just goes for broke through that inside section. So looking to improve on a 7.50. Doesn't look like he's going to do that. But the difference at the moment, a 9.27, Medina with an 8.23. Medina looking for an 8.55, and we know from experience that an 8.55 for Medina out here, pretty easy.
Definitely easy for Medina. He's been getting some big numbers along the way, and he just has that X factor of being lethal in the air as well if he needs to go to a big finish. John's got the same capability, even being on the backhand. He already threw down a backside air finishing move in his quarterfinal matchup with Julian Wilson, which was extra dramatic. Florence locks in, pulls in nice and tight. He's going to travel over the foam ball, but he's body surfing without his board. A radical exit, and it was probably a fun ride in a free surf, but in the heat of battle, he knows that's a low score. For John, though, he's keeping that rhythm going. All the tension on him with this lead so far.
Well, he came out just minus the surfboard. You know, that's the freakish talent that this kid has. I mean, that was a deep barrel, and we'd written him off kind of very similar to the Julian Wilson barrel. Let's have a look here as he takes off, keeping the momentum going. As you said, Joe, that big section unloads in front of him. Almost came out right there. John Florence making it quite clear he's going to keep busy. Just a 2.37 on that occasion. That big section right there kind of took the board away from him. And John coming out having some fun as usual. 23 minutes 45 seconds remaining. John Florence has already thrown away sevens. A 9.27 is his highest score.
So this heat just getting underway with fireworks. Gabriel Medina starting to move into position with priority. Remember, he opened with an 8.23, needs an 8.55. He's paddling right over. So this opens this up for John Florence to take off deep behind the section. An absolute cavern. He gets blown out. Short barrel ride, but he had so much room to move. Big flyaway rotation out the back for Florence as he's having a ball out there. Things got really close against Wilson, so it looks like he's just going to keep swinging early here.
Yeah, well, we've seen that really patient approach that John's been bringing to his game in this event. He knows Gabriel Medina, very busy surfer. Here we go, big bomb out the back.
Gabriel Medina looking to answer. Nice deep in his positioning. Nice and easy. Packs it. Stands tall. Low road exit. Big hack off the lip. Another big combination for the former champion here at Chopu. Back-to-back finals. He looks so comfortable over the shallow reef. And it looks like he toys with it. Sometimes you look at his performance and it looks like he's surfing over sand at a beach break.
Yeah, I mean, these guys aren't thinking about falling off. They're not thinking about wiping out. They're not thinking about the consequences of what could happen. In the back of the mind, in the forefront of their mind, they're making this. They're completing this wave already, visualizing them coming out and doing something crazy, as Medina did right there. Big, beautiful snap from Gabriel Medina. He's needing a big score. Let's have a look from the channel as he drives off the bottom. Slowing himself down, nice and tight right there. Big, open, wide barrel on that end section. And then hooks into a beautiful turn. So Gabriel Medina realizing that he's got to keep up with John, who is absolute on a tear right now. This is one of those West Bowls. Big, wide open tube ride for John. I like this. He's starting to have a bit of fun, Joe. He's starting to mix it up. We're going to see maybe some aerial maneuvers. Look at that, up and over the foam ball. Critical stuff right there from the surfer in blue. Touted as one of the most naturally talented surfers on earth. Quote from Kelly Slater.
Unbelievable matchup on paper, living up to the expectations as John Florence and Medina are fighting for a spot to surf against the greatest of all time in the final. We just heard from Kelly with Kaipo, as we'll send it back out to the channel for a very special moment.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. I'm here with our commissioner, Kirin Pero. Kirin, you got an announcement for us.
Yeah, this is a special award every year we give out in Tahiti, and this year, deservingly, definitely goes to Kelly Slater. It's the AI Commitment Award. Pretty special moment, I'm sure, for Kelly, so congrats.
I'm so stoked.
There you go.
Thanks, I'm so stoked. I've worked for this thing for years. I'll tell you what, Andy right now would be equally mad and stoked that I won this thing. To you, Andy, last time I surfed against Andy was here at Chopu, and he won the event. It was his last win. I lost him in the semifinals. It's a really special heat for me, and a really special award. This thing is awesome. It's got a light inside. This is rad. I can't wait to put this in my house. This is awesome.
Special moment. Congratulations, Kelly Slater, for the AI Forever Award.
I feel like I won the contest already. I'm stoked.
We got the final.
What a special moment. That's one of our favorite parts about coming here to Tahiti, to remember the legacy of one of the greats, a three-time world champ, Andy Irons. And for Kelly, that trophy has a whole lot more meaning. He made that quick comment, equally as mad and happy, because that was his most vicious rival. Those guys pushed the sport further than anyone. And what a moment in time for Kelly to still be on tour, to see how much that means to him. And sometimes little moments like that, receiving an award, Kelly might do some freakish things coming into the final.
Well, he's going to have to, because he's got one of these guys to contend with. John Florence's last ride, a 9.17. Gabriel Medina, a 9.23. John with a pair of 9s. Gabriel with a 9 and an 8.23. So at the moment, Gabriel Medina searching for a 9.22. 19.5 minutes remaining. What a special moment that was, and I can guarantee you Kelly is going to cherish that trophy probably more than some of his world titles.
You've seen how much it's meant to guys in the past, guys like John Florence, who's taken that honor in the past year at Chopu for his brilliant performances. Jeremy Flores, the late Ricardo dos Santos, all the guys that just pushed themselves over the edge. Also, C.J. Hobgood had a very special speech last season as we focus on the numbers just going through the roof already in this semifinal. We still have 20 minutes to go. Remember, this is a huge heat for the world title race. John's already #1 in the world. Now we have them going head-to-head. Medina, remember, has to finish 2 spots above John if he's hoping to take the Jeep Yellow jersey into Trestles. So Gabriel would have to take John out here and then go on to win the contest.
Yeah, well, he's still got a lot of work to do, that's for sure, and I think John understands that situation. You know, the kid's got his head screwed on unbelievably well this year. He's been doing a lot of training. He's got himself in a really good situation. He's focused on the world title. Medina's already got one. He wants to match that. Medina's already got a title here at the Billabong PRO at Chopu. John wants one of those as well. He wants a rematch with Kelly from the semi-final a few years ago. One of the heats of the century. I mean, it is all just playing out to be one of the most epic days of surfing I think we've seen in a long time, Joe.
It's an unbelievable finals day, and just the track record of these guys. You mentioned the super heat. Kelly and John, one of the best heats of all time. Last year it was John Medina going back and forth, but due to the seeding, John had a low seed because he was injured. That heat came in round 3, so it was a super heat. Now we're seeing it late in the semifinals. This is the latest they've ever met in competition. On road to a big final with Kelly, John, Medina in the final series. Maybe sometimes you can script this, Spots.
Maybe you can, Joe. I'll tell you what, Chopu has scripted today's action, though. You know, we've had a very challenging forecast, but this beautiful wave has saved the best for last. We've seen incredible 10-point rides already today. A bunch from Kelly, one from Julian. And it's not over yet. We've still got plenty of action remaining. 17 minutes here in semi-final number 2. 2 of the future of our sport. I mean, we're going to see these guys do this kind of battling for years and years and years to come, Joe.
And these are the 2 that could be the biggest part of the world title showdown when we come down to the Pipe Masters. Medina chasing a 9.22 to get the lead off John. We'll see if he gets it right after this. Welcome back to the Super Heat with John Florence and Gabriel Medina. Medina already accomplishing a world title, and that gave John a lot of motivation. These guys are in the same generation. In fact, they qualified at the very same time. We used to have a mid-season rotation a few years ago, so we got to see them call up full time right into lower trestles a few years back now. While we were away, John got another wave, Bots.
Oh, my goodness. John Florence, oh, got spat out. I didn't think he was, it was almost like he didn't think he was going to make that, and he wasn't prepared. Let's have a look. Driving, no grab on this occasion as he drives through. He knew he needed to keep that board pumping, and right there does a semi-wheelie coming out of the barrel, just losing it a little bit off the tail, and goes down. 3.53 could quite easily have been our first 10 of semi-final number 2, but not to be. Let's have a look at the drone footage here as John drives through that section and just comes out leaning a little bit too far back. So unfortunate right there. That could have been a seal the deal wave for John Florence, but leaves the door open now still for Gabriel Medina, who's looking for a 9.22. In any other event around the world, we'd be thinking that's a tough call. It's a big ask, but not out here today, and not Gabriel Medina.
Especially with athletes in the lineup with their reputation to get 10s. Medina, Florence were the kind of guys when they came on tour where 10s were pretty easy to come by. Yeah, John had some struggles with closing out events when he was the man on a roll, and we saw that at lower trestles when he was runner-up to Jordy Smith. And obviously the super heats where they've gone against him, is according to the numbers. But John was always featured in the highlight reels, pushing the limits on the scoreboard. But now he's getting more consistent, making more important decisions with priority. He kind of talked about his priority mistakes earlier this year that cost him some big heats, especially twice to the same man, a rookie named Kaiwa Belli.
Yeah, you know, and he's cleaned all that up, Joe. He's, you know, he's way more focused. He understands what he's got to do. You know, I think when John first came on tour, you know, and you were watching the heat, if you didn't know the scores, you wouldn't really know whether John needed a 10 or a 2 because he surfed the wave exactly the same. Now, a little bit more control, a little bit more focused. He's sort of surfing with way more purpose, and it's showing. I mean, he's becoming a way more sort of well-rounded competitor, posting massive scores every time he goes out, making less mistakes, falling off less, completing his rides. and really put himself right now in that #1 spot.
It's amazing. You just look back on the track record to become a world-class surfer like Medina and Florence. From Medina growing up in Brazil, in Mauritius. He grew up and his stepdad Charlie gave him a surfboard and backed his dream to be a pro surfer. And obviously he had freakish talent and ability. His stepdad's always in the channel. He said how he loves having him there because it feels like he's surfing with him. Charlie's got more of a running background, but with competition in mind, has that sounding board for him to stay calm and focused on the prize. And then you compare that to Florence, raised on the North Shore of Oahu. You kind of said basically born in the barrel. It kind of feels like that because we saw him on covers with all of his younger brothers. His mom, Alex, absolutely rips as well. And so he just was kind of destined for greatness and the youngest competitor ever seen at the Triple Crown of Surfing.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, you know, it's both these guys are sort of on a crash course with greatness. You know, Gabriel Medina, just, you know, maybe just a step ahead as far as accolades go, that world title obviously, which kind of pushed John, you know, and I think that's the reason why John's so focused at the moment. Have a look at this.
A solid one for Medina. The bottom drops out. He is in an absolute cave. He gets blown out, and that felt amazing for the former world champ. An absolute bomb to lock into here in the second semifinal. John's on the next one. Late takeoff, survives it. This one's wide open. These guys are feeling the moment. He puts both hands straight up, and we've got a battle for the final putts.
All right, both waves incredible. It kind of reminds me of a situation a couple of years ago where back-to-back waves, you know, I said, have we just seen 2 perfect 10s in a row? I think we're almost looking at the very similar situation right there. Gabriel Medina for sure. John, his wave maybe not quite as perfect. Let's have a look. Medina falls out of the sky, driving through the section right here, comes out. That wave regurgitates as Medina gets spat out. Good, solid wave, probably one of the biggest waves we've seen today. Gabriel Medina standing tall as he comes out of that one. And a traditional flyaway kick out here at Chopu. John, a late drop, wave on his shoulders, pulls in deep and gets spat out as well. Well, I'd give them both 10s, but that's me. Am I getting too excited? Absolutely.
I don't think so, Potts. The excitement level is through the roof from the channel to our competitors in the lineup. This is why John and Gabriel were dreaming of qualifying to go blow for blow in all-time conditions at Chopo through a waiting period where we weren't seeing forecasts that compared to Code Red or even 2014, but coming to a finals day to peak at the right time. I think these guys fighting for the #1 spot on the Jeep leaderboard. And Medina, already a former world champ. He already has 7 CT wins to his name in 13 finals. John with 6 finals to 3 wins, 2 of the best in the world. Now judges make the decision. John Florence, a 9.93, and Gabriel Medina, a perfect 10.
Wow. I'm speechless. That was unbelievable surfing. Both waves super critical, just different sort of approaches. Gabriel Medina's wave, so perfect. John's wave is a little bit more sort of angry. Late drop from him, you know, wave was on his shoulders. And a 9.93. 2 judges threw 10 points at it. One judge thought that John's was better than Medina's. So that was a kind of a split right there. Both crazy waves, both amazing scores. 9.93 for John, a 10 for Medina. Puts Medina in the lead.
John now needs a 9.31. Well, Potts, I want to break down your reaction to this. You thought 2 10s. One judge thought the same thing here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, John's wave, obviously a little bit more angry because it had that sort of refraction from Medina's wave. Medina's wave, absolutely perfect. I mean, to me, that was a no-brainer 10. John's wave, a late drop. The wave was sort of almost on his shoulders as he was dropping down into it. 2 judges agreed with me. They were both perfect 10s.
Medina uses priority for another effort. Nice and deep. This one's going to let him out after the spit. Now these guys are starting to have some fun. Medina just got a 10. Now looking to improve on a 9.23 to put John Florence under pressure. The last 2 seasons, John's lost in some dramatic ways to Medina in round 3 in a super heat, 18-plus points. 19-7-7 tiebreak the year before when it didn't go his way. Will it happen again?
Well, let's have a look at this. Beautiful conditions. I mean, how buttery are the conditions? Absolutely just light offshore winds. Medina comes flying out of that one. He's trying to better a 9.23, driving through this tube right here. It unloads and Medina comes out after, so there's no way he could have been any deeper on that. Surfed that wave as good as he possibly could. 9.23, that's what he's got to better to increase his lead over John. John looking for a 9.31, so still well and truly within reach, which is a crazy thing to say.
So fun to see these guys on the same side of the draw, number 2 and 3 in the world, into this contest. And now with those numbers changing on the Jeep leaderboard, Florence took world number 1 once he got to the quarters. And now Medina's fighting for that spot. If he can take John out and go on to win the contest. If Gabriel did that, it would be his second win in Tahiti history. If he makes the final, it'll be his 3rd consecutive final appearance. Obviously, Medina on record to match the greatest of all time, Kelly Slater, Pete Mel. Isn't that an incredible thing to be witnessing right now?
It is incredible. It's chicken skin. I'm almost like, it's put me into a lull. I mean, I want to be excited, but I'm almost just crawling out of my skin. I mean, every time these two have met, especially here in Tahiti, the ocean comes alive. The surfing, it comes alive. The channel comes alive. I mean, the world out there watching, how could you not be sucked into this entertainment at its finest?
That's right, Pete. It's so interesting because then you compare him, regular versus goofy. In John's track record, he beat Medina early their first couple matchups, but the more recent times, Medina has taken over. Pete, what's John going to do to try to come back in this heat?
Well, let's look at the clock. Yeah, there's some time, so let's just hope the ocean gives us another chance just to witness it, because I think John's up to it. It's been incredible so far. It lulls for a second, and then all of a sudden you see those two back-to-back. I mean, again, the ocean providing great call by the commissioner to hold out for today and get the action done. You know, the glassy conditions, I mean, you couldn't ask for anything more.
Hey, Pete, looking at the best waves, the judges had to make a decision on which one was better. Medina got the 10. John, a 9.93. What was your reaction to that decision?
I was hooting and I was screaming out of my lungs. But, I mean, I think you guys kind of called it on the head. That the wave of Medina's was so perfect, right? I mean, it was just picture perfect. But the wave that John had to ride was much more technically difficult. And the way he was able to get through that section with a pump, grabbing his rail at the same time, it's just so advanced. It's just unfathomable for me to figure out how he could do such things. So they're both were really perfect waves, and you know, a 9.93 to a 10 is only separated by 0.07. It really comes down to now a quote-unquote backup score needing a 9.5 basically, right? It's crazy stuff.
Thank you so much, Peter Mel. And one thing Pete is just showcasing right there is just pure enjoyment. When you have two of the best guys in the world in perfect waves, this is what we always dream of on the Samsung Galaxy Championship Tour. We see the Medina in motion, seeing a little wave popping up. It's not up to him if he wants it. John has priority. Late takeoff down to the bottom. Florence nice and deep. He comes out. Hands up from Florence. He wants to score. He doesn't want this to be the third year in a row. He loses by such a small margin. He has got a 19.2 total. We're down to 4:30 remaining.
The last wave of Gabriel Medina, 9.10. So good news for John. Still looking for that 9.31. It hasn't blown out any further. Now, look at this takeoff. John is upside down under the lip. The ability to grab the rail, pull that board up and under. That's why he threw the arms up. And this kid doesn't claim unless something feels amazing. Look at that, under the lip. I mean, there's probably two guys on the planet that can do it, and one of them is John Florence. The other one's waiting in the finals for whoever wins this heat. Incredible stuff. Look at that, upside down. The grab the rail, pull that rail up and under the curtain. I mean, that is just as good as it gets right there. Maybe not the wave. Wave wasn't big, but just the surfing that was done on that wave. 9.31 required. I would not be surprised if John takes the lead after that roll of the dice.
Just witnessing such a special battle in this semifinal. Two surfers at the top of their game, two of the biggest profiles in the world, going blow for blow in their barrel riding efforts. Medina had a 10 earlier to get the lead. John needs a 9.31. And the judges about to make their decision. It's a 9.73. John takes the lead. Medina down to second. Now needs a 9.66 to answer back. Two boys out the back were having a quick chat.
Wow.
All of a sudden, they're silenced by the tower announcer, delivering the big number for John Florence.
9.73. So John takes the lead. 9.66, as you said, Joe. 2 minutes and 50 seconds remaining. Medina's thinking, what do I have to do to win this heat? Maybe another 10 is what it's probably going to take.
Unbelievable matchup. Looking at the numbers, John's taken 9 waves. He's throwing away 2 9s. 927, 917 are long gone. He's got a couple of 7s to his name. This definitely will be in the running for the heat of the year. It tends to happen when John's in the water, bringing out the best in his competition. You see these new school rivalries. John took the first accolade off Medina, being Rookie of the Year a couple of years back, when Medina was wanting that one, disappointed because he had 2 quick wins on the call-up to the mid-season rotation. Those rivalries never die. Medina remembers that.
No, he doesn't. Medina's one of those guys, like you said, when he was winning his world title, he wanted to be the youngest guy. He wanted to win as many events as Kelly did. You know, he's that kind of kid. He wants to be remembered as one of the best of all times. I'll tell you what, he's on track. But so is John Florence. I mean, this kid's starting to crank it up. You know, he's lost a lot of these kind of heats, Joe. A lot of these incredible heats he's gone down to. One with Kelly Slater, one with Gabriel Medina, out here at this very spot. So he wants to turn the tables. 1 minute and 30 seconds remaining. Can John hang on and get that rematch with Kelly in the final?
It's amazing how John brings out the best in a lot of competitors. The other heat of the year, we're talking with John and Taj Burrow at Cloud Break, but this one's so important for the world title showdown. Medina looking for a 9.66. He does have priority as we enter the final minute. He's looking for his 3rd straight final in a row. You go back since 2013, Medina's been undefeated over John in key moments, like the heat last year in Tahiti. But this one might finally turn around for the surfer from the North Shore of Oahu.
Well, it's a different kind of year, isn't it? We've seen a lot of crazy stuff go down this year. From the get-go, the whole World Tour has been turned upside down. We've seen pretty much a changing of the guard. We've had the rookies come out, the rookie class just rattling the cages of the top echelon of the World Tour. And now we have 2 of our prized fighters come down here in semi-final number 2 to take on the best of all time out here, Kelly Slater. Wow. Doesn't get any better than this.
So much fun to watch. 30 seconds. And if John can hold this lead, he will be world number 1 for the first time in his career, wearing the Jeep yellow jersey, heading into the Hurley Pro in September. Looking at the countdown, Medina's not making a move for anything out the back, and it's about to be official. John Florence gets his chance for a rematch against Medina. You can tell how much it means to him. It's official. You're looking at the man on top of the Jeep leaderboard. He'll be wearing yellow at lower trestles, but before that, he's going to get a matchup with 11-time world champ Kelly Slater in the final here at Chopo.
Speechless, Joe, speechless. I mean, what a performance.